Good afternoon, and welcome to Calvary's Happy Hour, presented by New Mount Calvary, the Evolution Church. Well, it's been over 30 days since we had our last Calvary Happy Hour. The last one was in January, and it is now March. Boy, how time has flown by. So today I have with me two very special guests. I am honored to have these two ladies with me, and we are having happy hour together. Aren't they beautiful? One of these considered me as an old lady, but she's the only one that can tell me I'm old. I'm gonna let her have that one. So everyone, get your favorite drink. We have sparkling grape juice with us today, and since I am hosting, I am going to pour these young ladies such a refreshing drink. And so how is everyone doing? The last time we met, we talked about balancing 2020 and 2021. We talked about evolving and how do we move from here. Well, today we want to continue that conversation, but I want to go a little different today. I want to talk about how the things that we've been through have been stepping stones for us to evolve to where we are now. So basically, how are you young ladies doing?
I'm doing well. Very good.
This is DeSheria Denton, and this is Alyssa's Goree. So you remember Goree, maiden name. So when we're talking about balancing and evolving, and something that sticks out to me is how in the world do I balance my preference over God's purpose, right? So you think about, there's a lot of things that I prefer to do that's not necessarily what God has ordained me to do. Yeah, we'll drink to toast to that. So how do we balance our past, our present, and our future, right? So when I think about Paul in 2 Corinthians in the 4th chapter and verses 8 and 9, I'm going to read that in this amplified classic version. I love this version of the Bible. And it says, we are hedged in, pressed on every side, troubled and oppressed in every way, oh goodness, but not cracked or crushed. We suffer embarrassment. Have you ever been embarrassed? And perplexed. And we are perplexed and unable to find a way out. Man, we've been there. But not driven to despair. He says, we are pursued, persecuted. Man, I've had folk talk about me for no reason. People I've never done. I haven't done anything to anyone, but they just choose to talk about us, right? But not deserted to stand alone. We are struck down to the ground, but never struck out and destroyed. Boy, isn't that amazing? So when you think about where you are now and where you were back then, can you identify that your scars have been a part of your success? What do you think about that?
I think they have. As many know, I went through a divorce 2019, so a couple of years ago. And of course, that was a painful moment, but I do believe that it forced me to get my relationship with God intact. I already had a relationship with Him, but it helped me progress in my relationship with Christ. And through that, we start having these revelations. God speaks to you through that one-on-one time that you have with Him. He reveals things to you. And in that moment, I knew that, okay, well, this hurt and this pain is actually preparing me to possibly be a willing vessel to other people, be a testimony, offer encouragement to other people. So that's where I believe that my scars have helped me with my success and where I am at this point in my life as well.
What about you, Ulysses?
Yeah, definitely. I can say, at first it started off as, I would question why, especially going into my career path and, not knowing, what would be next. I remember, had 3 or 4 interviews with my dad's job and didn't get hired. So now I'm in a position where I can be a district leader, over entire, different stores. And my motivation was, more of my daughter. So that definitely helped me.
And think about it. Had we not had those scars, we've all had scars. I've had scars in my life. But had we not, and think about it, since we're in the Easter season, right? So it was by his stripes that we are healed, right? So think about it, it's the stripes is where our healing is. Right. So even the scars that we have, you think about Thomas when Jesus had a rose and he said, I'm not going to believe he's alive till I can feel the scars. So a lot of times we are embarrassed about a scar, right? As women, we cover up scars because we want to look flawless. But it's in your scar is where the success is, right? Because you realize this scar has made me stronger. There's something within this scar that has prepared me for success, right? And so even that, you think about the pain. Paul said we've been perplexed, but we're not cast out. We've been persecuted, right? A lot of times I don't think we realize that it's our pain that prepares us, right, for our purpose in life. So, and you think about, so how do you balance, again, your preference over purpose? I know for myself, when I was growing up, I said I was going to be a CPA and become an accountant, have an accounting firm. DeSherry, I think when you started off in college, you went in saying that you were going to be a nurse. Then she changed to a psychologist. Alyssa, we thought, was going to be a pharmacist. And then a nurse. And so when you look at, those were our preferences. But I'm really highlighting these 2 young ladies because their preference took a back seat to God's purpose. Who would have ever thought that you would now be I don't know, what is your position? Now a district leader for a well-known pharmaceutical chain. Am I saying that right? Am I allowed to say? So from a pharmacist to a nurse and now the district leader for the pharmaceutical chain, and then this young lady from nursing to child psychologist. Oh yes, we were going to be a child psychologist in the hospital. I thought, okay. And now God has prepared her to be an HR professional.
Right, and an associate professor.
And an associate professor.
Yeah.
And here I am, nothing, nobody. And then here I am, one who was going to be an accountant with my own accounting firm. And my dream was to be able to be an accountant for small churches, to ensure that they were doing things properly and setting themselves in position to be blessed. That was always been a dream of mine. But here I am now, an assistant vice president for a university, totally opposite, right? So what was your experience in balance? How are you doing with balancing your preference and all those dreams and now lining yourself up with God's purpose? Who would have ever thought?
Yeah, I think for me it was more of, I used to pray about what I wanted to do, and not actually follow through. So for me to pray about it and know God will give me the opportunities, made me, follow through. Hey, it's in your hands, Lord.
Yeah.
I'm following what you want me to do.
Yeah. And the truth be told, evolving to who, gosh, He's designed us to be is where the struggle is, right? It's not always what I want. It's kind of like a kid. I don't want to do that. That's not what I want. And when you're talking about evolving into something, just think about it. Evolving from nothing to something, and you didn't have anything to do with it. Growing up, we talked about persecution. People thought we had it all together. For some reason, people think we're rich. Did you grow up, people think that you all had money? Thought your parents were rich? OMG. I realized how poor I was when I became a grown woman. And I'm thinking about when they were growing up, talk about it this year. She would wear designer clothes, but people didn't know she only wore them because I had to buy them when they were on sale.
You gotta get the sale.
Exactly right.
And I still shop sales to this day, and it's, I find it interesting because, we can often be misunderstood or, our perspective may be a little bit different when it comes from other people, when they see us, but they really don't know the things we've been through, to get to where we are now, or, back in that time, what our parents sacrificed, for us to look presentable. So, it's just a matter of hard work, perspective, and that's just pretty much what I have to say. It took a lot of prayer, in high school, with the accomplishments then, college, and then where I'm at now, it always came from Jeremiah 29:11.
I told that. Yes. Okay, what does that say? I love it.
For I know the plans that I have. And it's a plan to what? Prosper?
Yes. It sure is.
Yeah.
Do you remember living to paycheck to paycheck?
Yeah, I surely do.
Alyssa's came from a wealthy, people think.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if they did, I didn't know. I know I worked ever since I was 13, 14 years old. And anything I wanted, I had to purchase on my own. So anything, from shoes to socks to anything I wanted, I had to purchase on my own. I can't say if I did fall short or something. My dad was, my parents, was always there, but he was Sally Mae. He wanted his money right back. I can guarantee that.
That's the goal reason.
So he was always paying back, if I ever came up short. But I definitely say I worked really hard for anything I wanted.
But you know what? Think about that though. And the same here. Had you not had that experience, that was a part of your evolution.
Right.
In becoming it. So let's talk about that. When you transform, it's painful. Right? It's not easy to transform. When I think about Isaiah 61:3, and when Isaiah is saying there's beauty for ashes, that intrigued me. Because I thought, how do you get beauty out of ashes, right? Yeah. But in order to get the ashes, it comes from intense heat. Yeah. Have you had some intense heat?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And I thought about what ashes, a lot of times people think of ashes as nothing. But I did a little bit of research. There's really benefits in ashes. Ashes is used for fertilizer on soil. Ashes, if you don't have soap, can be used as a disinfectant for cleansing. Jesus. When I thought about cremation, and I kind of got a little intrigued. And so when you're cremated, in that vial is basically ashes and bones. and the bones are dry. And I thought about Ezekiel when the Lord asked him, "Son of man, can these bones live?" So think about that moment that you went through, that intense heat. I know I can think about it. And you were left for nothing. You were just ashes mixed with some dry bones. What was that breath of fresh air for you? What was that breath of life that helped you to evolve into being the beautiful? Now, beauty for ashes. Look at these ladies. They are simply gorgeous. They're beautiful. But there's ashes that made them beauty. They had to trade ashes for beauty. A spirit of heaviness for a spirit of praise. So what was that moment? What was that breath of fresh air for you that helped you to evolve from that point to where you wanted to give up, you felt less than, and you felt like you had nothing else to give?
I would say my daughter.
Okay.
Just her coming into this world and, having that village of my parents there, but doing it by myself. And when she sees me tear up, "You're gonna be okay, Mom. You're gonna be all right." So that's who helped me evolve to where I am right now. She keeps me pushing.
And you know what? And from sometimes we as parents, and in my era, we judge when someone has a child out of wedlock, right? But we're talking about God's purpose. God has a plan for everything.
Right.
That was your pivotal point to help you evolve to this beautiful,
Right.
successful young lady.
I can definitely say I was in my comfort zone at first. I was so used to doing what I know how to do and didn't want to grow. Now with her, she's motivating me and pushing me. "Hey, let me fill out this extra application to move up in the company," and that's exactly what's happening right now.
And God bless what you put your hands to, Deuteronomy 28, right? So Alyssa, if you think about it, what would you tell another young lady coming up the ranks from walking the path that you have already crossed?
Don't give up.
And it's easy to give up, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's easy.
It's really easy.
Yeah. And sometimes you will think everybody's against you, don't you?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to help you. Yeah. Yeah.
You got to do it on your own. So yeah, she definitely pushes me, to be a better mom and to give her more.
Yeah. And look how, if I can say this, because we've all made mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes. And even though we've made mistakes, right? We made some mistakes, but then God came back and turned around and took the mistake and created a miracle. I like that. Yeah. In the midst of my mistake, in the midst of our mistakes, He created a miracle. Oh, Jesus. So what was that pivotal point for you, DeSherry, when you were dry, had been burned, that helped? What was your breath of fresh air?
So my breath of fresh air was, shortly after the divorce, the church that I was going to at the time had a conference. It's called the Freedom Conference, and I attended the conference. And so I had went up for prayer, and this lady, she kept telling me, the Lord is telling me that He just keeps mentioning the words new life, new life, new life, and I just cried because I was like, okay, I'm getting a new life, okay, But you really don't know what that involves at that time. You just know of the fact that you'll be able to continue to push on to what, God has for you at that point. I mean, you're a single woman, things look different. There's a lot of questions, how do you move forward from that pain and hurt? And so, as life began and days went by, I got promoted on my job. I got other opportunities to bring in more income. I'm in a more healthier relationship. And, broken relationships at that time are literally mending. It's like at that point you're walking with a limp because you don't know what the future holds. But then now it's like you're walking and you're healed, even though you probably have a scar. But you know, you're a whole new person, got a whole new Jesus swag.
I like that. A whole new Jesus swag. I like that.
Because you know, he's carried me through, and you know, I would not have traded anything that happened in the past to get to where I am now, because I am loving and living my life.
So let's talk about that for a moment. So you and I'm your mother.
Right.
I don't think I've ever said that I'm glad I went through what I went through. But to hear you say that is phenomenal. Because you said that you are happy.
Right.
That you took that journey. I've been saved a long time and I've never uttered those words. So that's a little powerful for me. You said that you were happy because of your experience.
Very. Very. Because I believe that it made me stronger in Christ. You know, me considering myself as a real Christian, you know, walking that walk with Christ, you know, and I remember telling God, you know, God, I'm okay if it's just me and you doing life together moving forward. You know, and it's like in that moment, opportunities came flushing.
Yeah.
You know, opportunities for me to grow in my career. And other things came into my life that, you know, new doors have opened for me that I never would have thought have opened. So yes, I am happy for the experiences because I believe it was necessary for me to get to where I am now.
So what you guys you're helping me. Y'all know I know more than y'all, right? I'm wise. Yeah, not older, just wiser.
Yes, absolutely.
So, you guys have evolved as young Christian women to a level that I could really embrace and glory in, because who says I'm glad that I was hurt and had the poor relationships previously? Who would say I'm glad that I suffered? You know, who says that? So to see how you have evolved, and you haven't evolved totally to what God has for you, but you have evolved from A to B, and you're glad for the pain. That's deep.
Well, I believe, you know, in the pain and in the weakness, that's where God shows his strength in you.
Yes.
You know, so that's a very important concept and perspective to have. You know, even in the scripture that we went through with 2 Corinthians, when it talks about Paul and Corinth, that's what he said. You know, a lot of people think, you know, these pain and hurts is a weakness, but it's really God portraying his strength and showing his strength
Through you.
Through you. So that's where you get your strength. So that's why I'm happy, why I went through what I did, because now I know God for myself.
Now that's key, because you both grew up in Christian homes.
Right.
You both grew up in a community where Christian moral values were the foundation, right? From your grandmothers to your great grandmothers, your aunts, your uncles, right? So when you think about that, it doesn't mean you're not going to stray, right? It's, you have that foundation there, right? So when I think about being happy about the pain, I keep saying that because that's rhema for me. So when I'm suffering, I need to count it all joy. Because then I get, even though you grew up in a Christian home, your dad tried to sing. My father was a singer, so my brother thought he could sing, and he really can't.
Just edit it.
So growing up in that Christian home, there were things that it was not optional to go to church. It was not optional to have moral Christian values. and things of that nature. But it wasn't the same as you making a decision or having a personal encounter, right? Or personal revelation with God for yourself. So that makes all the difference in the world. Would you say that, Alyssa?
Yeah, definitely. I can, after you go through the pain, the suffering, and you're here now, like she said, I'm happy, I'm glad I went through what I went through, because you can look back on what you've been through and what God brought you out of, and you feel like, you know, you can conquer the world, you know. So that's a big point, you know. He took you out of that situation, and you have so much to praise him, you know, not only for getting you through that situation, but how happy you are now.
Right.
And you learned it for yourself.
Yep.
That's not anything your mom or your dad could have taught you.
No,
I couldn't have even taught you that. And I try to teach her like that.
She really is.
But there are some things you have to learn on your own. Right? Some things you have to experience for yourself.
Like picking up a Bible. Like recently, I want to say in my 20s, it's my first time actually going through the whole entire Bible on my own, because I want to learn it on my own.
Right.
So you made a choice. Mm-hmm. These young ladies made a choice to evolve from ashes to beauty. It was there. It was presented. But you had to make the choice to move in. You thought about, oh no, this is all about who?
Me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? And we talked about that last month. It's all about you. What makes you happy? Right? So although your parents set a foundation for you, your path and your walk has been different than what your past. You know, you guys think we're old and old school. Wise, is that what it is? Old school, we don't like the music they like. and same here, I didn't like the music my mother liked. You know, that's just kind of a part of it. But I think for me, what is key in this conversation is for all of those young ladies, and I was intentional in this particular segment. This is a segment that is designed strictly for the young adults, right? And so as we prepare to end the conversation, there are some things that I want to end with. And I'm going to allow these ladies to end this conversation for us. And that is, if you had a crowd of young women that you needed to encourage and speak to, what would be those words that you would say? But I'm going to start off as an adult, right? And I am going to speak to my generation. And in that, I am going to say, for the baby boomers and even those that are seniors, let's evolve from that old way of thinking to allow the next generation to evolve and come up and carry the torch. You know, it's time for us to regress in our gifts and prop up the younger generation for the task ahead. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. We're not walking the way our parents walked, right? They gave us an opportunity to evolve to what God has ordained for us. We don't have church the way we had church when I was younger. And so as a result, things are continually changing. We're not going to have church. They're not going to have church. These young ladies, they don't like church the way we had church. They're laughing because they know I'm telling the truth. They like teaching. There's a certain ambiance that they prefer. But guess what? It doesn't mean that it's wrong because they have the same foundation. But it's time for us to regress and to prop up the next generation to take on the torch. But you have to allow them to evolve into what God has ordained for them as we evolve and take a rest. I like that. I can't wait till I can evolve to a point to where I take a seat and watch you all blossom. So, last words to Sherry.
Yeah, so, when it comes down to my generation, just continue to be encouraged because times are changing. There's so many influential things going on, whether it's media, social media. It's okay to take a step back and find yourself and just have that one-on-one time with Christ to where you can start evolving into the man or woman that Christ wants you to be. So it's okay to take a backseat back from the world, right? Right, from the world. So many distractions. So that's what my encouragement would be to others.
I like that. Take a back seat from the world. Interesting. Alyssa?
And just to piggyback off of her and say, what you can evolve from. Look at Philippians 4:13. You can do all things, and don't get discouraged because someone's there for you. No matter how you don't think, no one's there for you. You just bow your head and get on your knees and pray to God because He is there at all times. And when you do pray and when you do ask for things, make sure you are praying for it, but also looking at the opportunities that's coming your way. Whether it's God, can you give me patience, and He steady gives you things thrown at you. Those are those opportunities for you to gain your patience. So that's all.
And gaining patience.
Mm-hmm.
So to the younger generation, it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
It's not going to happen in a month.
Mm-hmm.
How long did it take you to find peace after your hurt?
Ooh, it took me maybe about a year
or so?
Yeah.
How about you, Alyssa?
My daughter's almost 4 now, so I'm going to say about 3 years.
Yes, and you're still gaining strength day by day.
Right.
So to that younger generation, although you've been hurt, although you've been through some things, guess what? You're going to make it. Right? Look at these young ladies. They're successful. They're beautiful. They have it going on for them, right? I know that's an old term. That's not What's the new term when you have something going on? What do you say? Oh, you can't say it? Oh, it must be really. So basically what they're telling us today, and they have really helped me, and I hope that they have helped others outside of their age group, is that yes, you've been hurt. Yes, you've been talked about. You've been persecuted. Folk talk about you. People don't like you. Jealous of you. Why are people jealous of us? I mean, oh my God. I have no idea. But guess what? You're going to make it. Take it day by day. And it's Women's Month. Celebration of Women's Month. So you know what I see sitting at this table? I see the future Oprah Winfrey, the future Dr. Ruth Simmons. And you may say, why did you pick those two names? Because I thought about it on my way. I thought about their life story and how they talked about where they evolved from to where they are now. They evolved from something totally different to where they are now. But it positioned them to be the Oprah Winfrey, the Dr. Ruth Simmons, who is someone who's known to take a university that's not on the map and put them on the map. And so, yes, so you think about, that's where you guys are headed. You're headed for success because of what you've been through.
Right.
You have evolved to be what God has ordained and purposed in your life. I think we'll drink to that. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to next month for Calvary's Happy Hour. Be blessed.